And Robert, I'll start with you. You did 200 today?
Did 140 actually. 140? I'm in the middle of a 3-day training camp, so it's a pretty good day in the middle of Buffalo on one day and Hotham afterwards. But yeah, done it about 10 times and done 200s most of the time. But sometimes it's a little bit hot to go on the full 200. But I notice they're still all out there riding up there in the heat, so good on them.
Yeah. And Ken, how long did you do today? What distance?
The 200.
200,
yeah.
Good work, Ken.
Thank you.
So you're a better man than Robert then?
Not necessary. Not necessary. No. I've done it for many years now, and it's a wonderful event. Yep. So I did the 200 today.
And what sort of training have you been doing to build up to this?
I do a fair bit of training up in the Grampians. We have a property, a farm not far from there in Western Victoria. So we go up training there, and that's good fun. Apart from the actual training, it's just great to get up in the mountains, and it's a wonderful environment.
Yep. So Robert, you said you're in the middle of a 3-day training camp?
Yeah, look, a lot of road riders in the racing community use this event as training.
Okay.
There was a lot of them there today. Been a few on the interviews tonight as well, doing the 200 today, and they go against the clock. It's perfect strength training exercise, and I'm in the middle of getting ready for some races in February, so it's good to do cumulative days of work. So 140 was good enough today, trying to back up again tomorrow.
So you're a professional rider?
I have been, had a history, and bit of Olympics, bit of national representation, so it's been there, done that a little bit, but it's still one of the best events in Australia to go and do, to get your big Ks in, and your lots. I mean, you climb for maybe 50 or 60 kilometres in one day there when you do the full 200, so you get a pretty good workout.
Yes, indeed.
Got to keep hydrated. It's been hot, notoriously really hot every year, so keep drinking all day, and for 3 days you've got to be even more careful about that. Drink through the night, even having a drink bottle next to your bed and stuff like that.
Okay.
So pretty conscientious sort of training days away from home.
Preferably drink water, non-alcoholic stuff.
Yeah, you try to still get a lot of people on the Oki though, don't we?
So it's a very sociable day.
Well, I noticed there were a lot of people riding at similar pace today, which is not like a lot of other. I think the general standard of fitness is going up. Like on Falls Creek today, I was seeing people riding in masses, 5, 6, 7, 8 abreast on the left lane up to the top of the falls. So it's less spread out. Maybe more people are training harder to get ready for it, and everybody comes back every year, as far as I know, trying to get a better time. So
how many years have you done?
Probably 10. I think I would have done 10 of them, and tried different. I take people on it nowadays. I go as a part of a education business. Ride-wise is my business, but we do the finish line inflatable, and I take riders on the event, and all the way from preparation, training, 8 to 12 weeks in advance, and then on the day, escort sort of rider advice on the day. Eat every 20 minutes. Change,
20 minutes.
Yeah, use little gears at certain times. It's okay now to use bigger gears. Spend this much time sitting behind other riders to get a slipstream advantage and this sort of thing. It's quite strategic when you're really going for a timed run of it. You've got to think about a lot of things and plan your day a bit. Did you do that today, Ken?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's one of the points I like to make is when I first started the ride, I think there was only about 200 of us who did, in sort of mid-80s, and the ride has grown enormously, and along with that it's been a fantastic encouragement to get people on push bikes, and it's a wonderful challenge for them, because today I rode with a chap here and he was sort of 75 or so, and you get sort of juniors, and to me that epitomises the sport. That it's something that can be done for many, many years, and the camaraderie which Rob mentions was certainly there again today, and a lot of encouragement, and also the support that we received not only from the public but also all the volunteers. I think it would be amiss if we did not mention the hard work that they do. The support has increased tremendously over the years with water points up Buffalo, the food stops and everything like that. So it's become far more efficient, and that the event like this would not happen without those volunteers.
Indeed.
And also on top of that, sort of the fundraising that goes on for the foundation. I think that's a wonderful cause as well. And to me, that epitomises the sport and the whole sort of concept of an event like this.
Do you guys spend a lot of time setting up your bike for this? Anything special?
I changed my bike from a normal crankset to a compact crank where I have around a 50-34, and that way it gives me a lower gearing just for the mountains. So sort of, but the actual seat adjustments and handlebars stay very much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the racing community, you've usually got a flat racing gear ratio cassette at the back that's 12-21 sort of gearing, but the guys will always make sure they've got at least a 23 or a 25. That's just put the other wheel in.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot that wheel this weekend, so I had a bit of trouble. But when you've been in it for a long time, you can get away with it. You can just, you just have to suffer a little bit more and push a bit harder at times when you wanted to ride an easier gear. But actually, chain lines are an interesting thing too. With the expensive equipment, it's nicer to run your chain to the middle of the cassette as much as possible, so you can actually benefit from having really high gear ratios, so that even though you've got gears that you might use on much steeper climbs than they're on this day's riding, the chain lines are still very straight because you're using light gears, but you're still in the middle of the cassette at the back of the bike. So it gets quite technical as well, actually. I'm very impressed with the finish area set up now, though. You would have noticed over the last few years, the organisation's made big infrastructural changes, and basically to keep a lot of people around the finish area for the remainder of the day, so that there's this camaraderie feeling for everyone who comes home. There's a bit of a crowd there to cheer them in and give them a clap, and that's one of the greatest things about the event, I reckon, is the successful feeling or the accomplishment of finishing and everyone sort of still being around, and it's quite a haven down there still now, and it will be till 8 or 9 tonight.
Well, apparently the band's going till 11.
Right, so we're on the rest of the day.
But you're right, it is a fantastic festival actually happening down at the site there now, and I've been down there all afternoon, and as the riders are coming in, there are people who just seem to be people that are sitting there
happy to see
almost on roster, welcoming the riders in. So it's really good. Right, so just to ask you, is there any funny stories you want to share with us about the ride, either today or other years?
We have a lot of laughs in our scene at the races in Melbourne with people in the preparation period more than on the day, I suppose. With the goons that haven't maybe done it before, and they want to be one of the heroes that do the 200 like Ken, and they say they're going to do it under 7 hours, and they don't realise how hard that is to do, and we all have a bit of a chuckle to ourselves. I think they, not doing enough training and preparation to get ready to do that kind of ride in 7 hours, and as we heard a bit earlier, some of the guys are going down under 6:45. So even though it's not a race, it's very competitive, and there's a lot of high calibre performances here.
Well, you're competing against yourself, though, aren't you? Especially if you've done it other years.
Exactly.
So I imagine you want to come up here and improve your time if you've done it previously.
So it's a PB, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Excellent. The only other thing I'd ask you, you mentioned you're drinking a lot of water and gels on the ride. Do you load up with carbos or anything in the days leading up to the race?
Especially the night before, we have a lot of pasta, perhaps, sort of things like that. And it's important even before the ride, the day or two before, to keep yourself well hydrated. And we're drinking water, but we're also drinking electrolyte solutions, and whether they have additional magnesium or whatever. And it's a matter of, you must perhaps go out and train in this environment when it's hot and put your body under duress to see how it reacts and what works for you. As to when you start drinking it, preferably sooner than later, and if you're not hydrated and going to the toilet during the ride, you're going to end up with problems at the end with cramping and things like that. So yes.
And what would you say to anyone that hadn't done the ride before, that's considering coming up and doing even the 70k ride?
Yeah, well, especially when you're just starting out at this kind of thing, you've got to. I might have mentioned a bit earlier that the continual, like Ken was saying, with drinking on the day as well as the days leading into the event, and thinking about people underestimate that travelling here dehydrates you. Getting nervous about it over the last 2 nights dehydrates you. And actually carbohydrate loading and eating lots of pasta, that dehydrates as well. So there's quite an emphasis on hydrating before and during. But for new people doing it, I'd be big on, as I am with taking people on the ride, every 20 minutes having sips, not big gulps of water and food, but little nibbles and little sips of water and food all the time through the day. And then actually you end up riding above yourself more often than not, and people do their best rides they've ever done often on the day and come up for the day. Yeah, great fun.
Fantastic. Great work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ken?
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Just makes it into the chair.